Saturday morning early. It's pretty nasty. It's raining like crazy. But I'm gonna pour these two molds. This is the gate hardware for a Roughwater 35. It's two sets. This is the guarantee that I get one good set. So on pour day, the first thing is to charge the crucible with bronze and light the furnace, because this takes the most time, is to melting the bronze. The second thing is I'll bring the molds over to the sand pit and stage it. Right now it's set up for some tall molds, and if I put the short molds down there, that's going to be real hard to pour without spilling. So I'll get this straightened out. So let's get started. We'll get the furnace lit. Now the crucible's charged. It's sitting on a layer of cardboard to try to keep it from sticking to the plinth block, although sometimes that doesn't work. And it is ready to light, so we are going to light it. I have on 2 blowers up in the attic, get the hot air out of my shop, and I have the 2 big box fans will be blowing air into the shop. So I never smell smoke when I'm doing this. Sometimes it's hard to light, but it's lit now, and the hotter it gets, the more I'll be able to turn the gas up and the air up. Just let it warm up right now and dry out the furnace a little bit. So I got the 2 molds that I'm going to pour today staged. This is what I call it, staging. I got a little metal box that I've put in the sand bed to raise them up higher to make it easier to pour into. And I got some framing around them so that when I'm handling them and they're red hot, I can put them in place really quickly without a lot of fidgeting, without a lot of handling, and without worrying about them falling over. When I'm handling them, I'll be handling them with these mitts, so it's a little awkward. I can hold them, but I can't. It's hard to move them around a lot. So the better prepared I can get the sand bed, the smoother this operation goes. The 2 molds are back in the kiln to be preheated. I have some insulation board over my steel floor because my steel floor tends to get hot and warped. So this is kind of protecting the floor a little bit with this white foam, with this white insulation material. And I don't know whether it does any good or not, but I like to lift the molds a little bit with scraps of steel so that air can circulate or heat can circulate around them. And I think I'll go ahead and light it, although it doesn't take very long to bring these up to temperature compared to melting the bronze. The furnace is getting hotter. We're kind of to that orange stage. Nice and dry now, so I can gradually turn up the heat. When it's at full temperature, it'll mostly just be white hot in there. So the furnace is hot enough now where I can turn up the gas and the air. It's starting to sound like a little jet engine. You can kind of feel the power in your bones. It's a little intimidating. But it'll get hot and it'll melt that bronze. Close. Molds are at 1700. Bronze is 90% melted. I'm heating up my little scooper to get the dross off the top. Won't be long. Alright, here we go. So we had a pour yesterday. It seemed to go really well. Let's break it open and see what it looks like. So like the wax, the bronze expands and contracts when it according to temperature. So when you pour the bronze, it's expanded, and then when it cools, it shrinks. And the ceramic shell does not expand or contract with temperature. So the bronze is shrinking, and it puts a lot of stress on the mold, and it'll crack the mold as it cools. It's kind of cool because after you pour it, you can sit around, you can hear the mold cracking, but it's not hurting anything. So we got the bulk of the ceramic shell chipped off with the hammer and a chisel, and we are looking good. We are looking good. I don't see, I really don't see any defects. Pretty happy with this. I'll have to start cutting it apart now. Both of them look good. So at this point, the bulk of the waste has been removed with the cut wheel on the grinder. Now I'm going to take the drill and try to remove most of this investment from the inside, and then we'll put the sanding disc on the grinder and start refining the shapes, getting them closer to where they need to be. Okay, I cleaned out a lot of the ceramic shell from the interior portions. It's pretty tenacious, it's pretty tough. I can bead blast it all out. It takes a while to blast on the inside. I think what I'm going to do is do some rough sanding on the outside, and that vibration will help to remove a little bit of this stuff on the inside. And then we'll bead blast, and then I'll do the final sanding on the outside, and then we'll have to start whatever machine work is necessary, which will be my weak link in the whole system. So I've been cleaning on the two latch parts. Did some grinding. I got them to fitting pretty good. There's a hole on both sides, one side for the plunger and one side for the keeper. And it still has investment in there, so I'm going to put it back in the blast cabinet and clean those out. And then I have to fit the little plunger, and these two will be ready for final cleaning. This is the two hinge halves, and I haven't done any cleaning on those yet, so they'll get the heavy grit flap disc, and then a fine grit flap disc, and back in the blast cabinet. This one has a little investment still in the bottom corners, and then I'll have to very carefully fit the two halves together so they're not too tight but not too loose, and then we'll have to drill through for a hinge pin. And that'll be interesting. I'm ready to drill the hinge pin. This is kind of a hard thing for me because I'm not really a machine shop. This needs to be done pretty accurately. So I got it clamped. I'm going to drill 3/16 hole because I have a 3/16 brazen rod. I'll use that for a pin. I'll drill halfway through and then flip it over and drill the other half, and then the part of the hinge that's in the middle, I'll drill it again a little oversized, so the pin will be tight on the two outside ears but loose on the inside ear. We drilled through and nothing terrible happened. So I drove the hinge pin in. I'm going to need to clean it up a little bit. Now I can get these surfaces to line up better. Okay, so the hinge is good. It operates. Surfaces line up pretty well. I'll drill the mounting holes and chamfered them. What we need to do now is go through some finer grits and just kind of get these scratch marks off. And it'll be good. The latch part will be a little more tricky, but that'll be next. Got some roughness in the hole. It's keeping the plunger from going all the way down. And I ran a drill bit in it, but it didn't help. So I have this little flap sander deal. Too big, but I think if I pull off a couple of layers of paper, I might be able to get it in there. Well, it took a little while, but I got the plunger working correctly. Did some sanding and other things, and now I need to drill and tap a little screw right there, and that's what you will operate this plunger with. It'll be like this. You'll have to reach under the latch and use your finger to pull it back, and I'll need a small spring to push it out. So I don't have that screw with me or the tap for it, so all I can do now, I'm gonna polish this thing up and put it in the truck and go see if I can find a screw and a spring. Okay, and finishing touches. I got a spring to push the plunger out. I had to bend the end out a little bit because it wanted to bind up with that little part. I put the little plunger in the hole until I liked where it was to fit. I marked where I needed to drill and tap for the little thumb piece. And I drilled it and tapped it for 1024, but I didn't tap it all the way through. That way when you screw the screw in, it gets tight before it goes through. You don't want it to go through the plunger. So that's it. They are complete. This is the little thumb that controls the plunger. It'll be on the bottom, so you won't see it, but you'll feel it. And when the gate shuts, they lock together. Well, the screw's in the way. When the gate shuts, they lock together. Ready to send it back. It could use polishing, but that's not part of my agreement with the purchaser. I didn't want to have to include the cost of a couple hours on a buffing wheel. Thanks for watching.